a weekend walk to help find a cure for Alzheimer's. KELOLAND malls are reshaping their experiences, and a judge orders a USD professor to return to his classroom. This is Inside the Newsroom, and I'm your host, Maddie Paul. Inside the Newsroom, we bring you the trending stories of the KELOLAND area, and best of all, my favorite part, we bring in our newsroom staff members to talk about these stories that you see every day on our newscasts and online at KELOLAND.com. So you heard a tease about what's to come on Inside the Newsroom today. But our first trending story is a USD art professor who was put on leave for a social media post following the death of Charlie Kirk will be returning to the classroom temporarily. A federal judge's order came down yesterday, and our digital reporter, Gracie Terrell, was in the courtroom listening to everything as it was being exposed. But Gracie, I think we should start off with context once again. I know you were on Inside the Newsroom yesterday talking about the context for this piece, but let's start with talking about the USD professor, Michael Hook. He's suing the South Dakota Board of Regents and also the University of South Dakota. Can you explain why?
Yeah, so he posted something after Charlie Kirk died, and the post kind of sparked some, outrage a little bit from some people, including some politicians. So he was put on administrative leave last Friday on the 12th, and, he filed a lawsuit that came down earlier this week about his constitutional rights, the First Amendment right to free speech, saying that they violated that right and that he would like to be put back in the classroom. So he, filed for a temporary restraining order to, basically restrain the university or the Board of Regents from keeping him from the classroom. So yesterday, the judge granted that, so he will be able to return to the classroom. But there's also a couple of other pieces to that, including a preliminary injunction that will be happening a little bit later. So the case isn't done yet. There's still, going to be some litigation, still some more evidence to be found on the defendant's side of things. But for now, he's going to be back in the classroom.
Wow. And what's it like reporting from a courtroom? Like, how quickly did you have to turn this story around yesterday?
Yeah. So the courtroom experience, you aren't able to have phones or record anything, so it's all handwritten notes. So you're writing really, really fast. I was sat up in the jury box this time just because there was so many people in the courtroom. There were about 40 to 50 people, I would say,
wow,
including some of his students, I believe, as well, were there to show support, at least some USD students for sure. So, just trying to keep track of everyone's names, of everything that is being said, for sure, everything that the judge says, the questions that she asks. And at the end of it, she, said that she would write her opinion and have it out later. So, we kind of just took everything, came back to the newsroom, and I was, writing up just that she had heard both of those arguments, that this is what, the Professor Hook and his attorney are arguing, and this is what the Board of Regents and their representation are, alleging as well. So just kind of putting that all together. So we had just about, I think 2 hours-ish to get that all kind of written up and put on air before our 6 o'clock news.
Wow, pretty quick. That's really quick, actually, to turn something like that around. But I have a question, and I saw this in your article, and I think it's really interesting if our viewers missed it. So why was the lawsuit brought up now and not when Hook would eventually be fired?
Yeah, that was a question that the judge had as well, actually. And Hook's lawyer, Jim Leach, he argued that right now he's out of the classroom and they have the intent to fire him, and that any loss of his First Amendment right to free speech causes irreparable harm. And they were arguing that he's out of the classroom right now, so he is experiencing the kind of retaliation, I guess you could say, of that free speech. So they said, why wait until he gets actually fired when we can kind of maybe put a stop to this, to him being out of the classroom at least until after they go through the entire litigation process and really determine whether or not there was any code of conduct violations there or a disruption to the university's operations.
So you've kind of been mentioning it, but let's put it in another answer. What comes next now?
Yeah. So what comes next is the preliminary injunction hearing will be on October 8th. So the judge granted that the temporary restraining order, so he will be back in the classroom at least until that point. That will give more time to gather evidence to see if there is the claim there that the First Amendment right was violated, or whether or not the University and Board of Regents did have the right to fire him because of that. But I think an interesting thing to note is that we got that information, or we got all of the everything that we heard in the courtroom, and then about 15 minutes before our story was supposed to go on air, and when we had it up on the website, is when the judge actually granted her ruling. So we had to kind of scramble a little bit, change some things, because he was actually going back in the classroom. So that kind of changes the way we structure the story and get everything out. I had to read through her opinion real quick just to see, exactly what she had said about that, and kind of get that, up on air and online before that story aired in about 15-20 minutes. So that's kind of just the nature of news, is those things happen, breaking news happens in a moment, and we kind of have to change gears a little bit. But yeah, it was definitely a hectic day yesterday.
Yeah, well, great job. You had a great article, and you can wipe the sweat off now. You finished it. You did it. Great job, Gracie. And thank you for sharing these details here at the Digital Desk.
Yes, anytime.
Thanks, Gracie. And stick around, viewers, because we still have so much of Inside the Newsroom to go through. And we have a special announcement at the end of the show. You're going to want to stick around. But up next, KELOLAND malls are reshaping their experiences. We're going to find out why and how after the break. And welcome back to Inside the Newsroom. Shopping malls across KELOLAND are changing, many starting to offer experiences other than shopping. So Carly Phillips explores the ever-changing face of these destinations and why it's happening.
Whether it's in a big city or a small town, shopping malls across KELOLAND are changing. Many, like the Yankton Mall, focusing on offering a variety of stores.
Sports, one sporting good place here. We have Hobby Lobby, which is kind of its own little store. Marshall's is the clothing store. Five Below has its own thing.
Owner Matt Evans says malls are evolving into more than just a spot to shop. As online shopping gains popularity, the Yankton Mall has brought in food and entertainment options, along with its variety of retailers.
You could really spend all day here. You can come in and watch a 2-hour movie. You can go eat for an hour. You can go shop for a couple hours. Probably even longer, honestly.
Across the state, Uptown Rapid in Rapid City has seen its own makeover too. It underwent a management and name change in 2021. As many shopping centers undergo changes, there's still value in keeping some things the same. In Yankton, the mall maintains its classic strip mall design.
It's like a lane of traffic in the front of the mall, and it really brings out that nostalgia. And you're like, wow, it's fun to be a part of that.
But Evans says the success of a mall all comes down to the experience.
And Carly Phillips joins us now at the Digital Desk to talk more about this story. Carly, I want to start off by asking, we know that Sioux Falls had its own recent anniversary for its mall, but this story kind of explores malls all across the state. So why did you want to focus on so many malls?
Yeah, I think just obviously there's a lot of malls outside of Sioux Falls, and so kind of to see what they're doing, are they changing? Because a lot of malls are changing, and so I reached out to maybe some smaller ones, but also some bigger ones up in Rapid to kind of see what they're doing as, shopping trends change, and they're trying to change with their customers.
So what's your favorite activity to do at a mall?
I'm still a big fan of the shopping side.
Classic side.
Yes. But it was interesting because a lot of them talked about, they're trying to bring more entertainment things like movie theaters or, other just, I guess, not necessarily shopping things into the mall just to kind of draw people in. So then maybe they come there and they do still shop and they do still do some of those other activities, but it's kind of another way to bring them in.
I'm glad that you brought that up because that's what stood out to me was the part that they said they want to expand with entertainment, food courts, even just more activities like that to bring in. What else stood out to you as you were putting this story together?
I think it was interesting as I was looking, there's still a lot of strip malls kind of, with that exterior entrance and exit.
Ooh,
and
yeah.
So in Yankton, that was a really good example. And he kind of said that that's kind of a unique thing to still bring, just to kind of stand out a little bit and get away from the typical mall aspect of where it's enclosed. But I thought that was just interesting too, that he talked about kind of bringing back some of that nostalgia a little bit too.
The funny thing about this story is it seems like it's genre bending for me. Like you got this little entertainment side, you got this historic side, you have this economic side. So what kind of, as you were putting this story together, what made it feel passionate and personal to you as you were putting it together? Was it fun to look at that historic side, or was it more fun to see that classic strip mall like still there? What was something fun for you?
I think it was interesting to see how the shopping trends are changing and how kind of, I guess, owners are trying to change with it. I thought that was really interesting. I had never really thought about that before I started putting this story together, just how much they have changed and how they are still kind of changing as years come. So I thought that was interesting. Probably for me, the most interesting thing when I was doing this story.
Is there anything else you want viewers to know about this story, Carly?
I think we covered it.
I think we got it all too. But what story are you going to be working on tonight?
So today I am doing a story on, it's a nonprofit, and it's called Live on Stage Sioux Falls. And they welcome all kinds of musicians and bands to Sioux Falls, and they've been doing it for 95 years, so since 1930. And I'm talking with them today because this is going to be their last season that they're putting on these concerts for people. So I'm going to talk to them about what people can expect this year, but then also kind of looking at, why the decision to end now. And, I'm sure it's going to be kind of a difficult goodbye, but just kind of what are they hoping to get out of this last season?
And we'll stay tuned for that tonight. Carly, thank you so much for being here at the Digital Desk to talk about your stories. And everyone, stick around. Up next, we're going to be looking at a weekend walk that is helping to find a cure for Alzheimer's. Stay with us. Inside the Newsroom, we'll be back after the break. And welcome back to Inside the Newsroom. Over 7 million people live with Alzheimer's in America, with 1 in 3 adults dying with Alzheimer's or another form of dementia. Those are just some of the reasons why a walk is being held this weekend. Summer Roddershot tells us how we can help make a difference.
Andy Huseman lost both her grandmother and great-grandmother to Alzheimer's disease.
It's challenging to see someone you love kind of slowly but surely become less and less of who you know them to be, and inevitably mourning the loss of them, not once but twice.
And she's not alone in her loss.
We know that there are over 17,000 people here in South Dakota who are suffering from some kind of dementia. And then we have 27,000 family caregivers.
Because of this, the Alzheimer's Association is hosting a walk this weekend.
So when you get here, you'll go through our registration tent. You'll get all signed up. From there, we've got activities. You can take a team photo. We have a kids zone with balloon twisting and face painting. We have a tribute wall where you can honor your loved one with a note and also make a personal button.
Some of the money raised at the event will go towards research to find a cure for the disease, which Thielbar says could be on the horizon.
We now have 2 treatments that slow the progression of the disease that are attacking the amyloid in the brain. In our research pipeline, we also have treatment that's looking at tau protein, which is another aspect of Alzheimer's. We have a researcher here in South Dakota who is looking at a molecule that can protect the neurons in the brain.
Encouraging people to walk towards a cure for Alzheimer's.
I hope the community comes out to support the Alzheimer's Walk, not just if you have somebody you know personally that is going through or experiencing this disease, but more than likely, it's going to affect you at some point in your life.
And Summer Roddershot joins us now at the Digital Desk to talk more about this important story and this weekend event. Summer, speaking with Andy and hearing her personal connection to Alzheimer's, how do you think that interview helped shape your story?
I think it helps personalize the story because, you can have people talking all day about an Alzheimer's walk, but when you hear somebody who had to go through the loss of having she had 2 family members, and then also Carla, she had a family member. I think she also had 2 family members, but just like being able to see that raw emotion and realizing, okay, this isn't just a Saturday walk that, doesn't affect anybody. This is affecting people in our community. And I mean, I even used to have an older friend who ended up having Alzheimer's or a form of dementia. And it's hard. Andy mentioned you don't lose them once, but you lose them twice. The first time, when they forget you, and the second time when they ultimately pass. So it really is a tough thing that, like they said, affects so many people in our community.
You're right. It really opens your eyes to what is going around every single day. It's not in the shadows, it's in front of your face. And I was honestly really shocked to hear that over 17,000 people here in South Dakota are suffering from some kind of dementia. That was something that one of your interviewees said. Did anything that you heard shock or surprise you as you learned more for this story?
You know, it was definitely surprising, that 17,000 and then the 7 million across the United States. It's scary. I think one thing that I found almost hopeful was talking more about the cure side of things. Because, I feel like we always say, oh, they're searching for a cure or they're hoping for a cure. But we are actively in the midst of this. Like they said, within 20 years, that's not like promised, but we could see a cure for dementia and Alzheimer's within 20 years. I think it's hard because sometimes, if things are more, you broke the arm, you know how to fix it. Sometimes when things are in the brain, it's a little bit more confusing and difficult. So a lot of people may think, we're nowhere close to a cure. They described it as it's on the horizon. We don't know where it's at yet, but we know that it's out there and we're taking steps towards it every day, which, like I said, the 17,000 number across South Dakota is discouraging, but I think this is the encouraging part, that some of the money raised at this event is going to be going to actively finding a cure.
Is that what you hope viewers take away from this story?
I think it definitely is. I think it gives you more peace of mind when you're going to these walks and helping raising money, knowing that, okay, some people, like, they don't even know where the cure is at. They're just trying to find like that basis. They're on the path. Like, they are finding these different proteins and how to protect the neurons and all this different stuff. Like, they're on that path. And so that money you're going is like genuinely furthering it. And hopefully 20 years is a lot closer than that. But like I said, they're actively looking for that cure. So yeah, I think it just should give people a peace of mind if they decide to participate in the walk this Saturday.
Yeah, and when is the walk and where is it?
So it's taking place at Falls Park. Registration starts at 8:30. There is a ceremony at 10. It's really special, actually, because they have a bunch of different things at the event. They have those photo buttons where you can bring a picture of your loved one and make a button. But then they also have this flower ceremony. And so they have 4 different colors of flowers that they're going to give to different people, and your color represents how you're connected to Alzheimer's. So if you had a loved one, if you're just there for support, etc. And so they'll do this thing where they raise all the flowers, like, color by color at the ceremony. You just have this garden. But then after the ceremony is when the walk is going to take place.
These are all really great details, Summer. Is there anything we're missing? Any last thoughts that you'd like viewers to know about this story?
I just think that if you're passionate about it, head on out Saturday. And if you have lost somebody to Alzheimer's or dementia, you're going to find other people there that have been through what you've been through and are in the same shoes and will be able to relate to you.
Summer, thank you for those details about your story, but I'm not letting you leave.
Okay.
I'm going to have you stick around here for a very important reason. I know that you know about this.
I do.
But let's tell our viewers when we come back after the break.
And welcome back to Inside the Newsroom. Now, I know what you're thinking. That's not Maddie's voice. Of course, it's my voice. But don't worry, Maddie is still pretty close. Maddie, how you doing?
Ooh, I feel like a ghost. Like, I'll always be around. Even on the other side.
What are you doing on the other side of the desk?
Yes, tomorrow I will not be hosting Inside the Newsroom because a girl's got to take a break every once in a while, right? I'm actually going to be traveling. A while ago, I went to northern Minnesota, and I think last time I went somewhere, you were filling in for me too when I went on that trip. And so it's like we're going full circle again. I'm going back to Minnesota for a little bit just to hang out with some friends and family. And Summer's just going to take over what I do at the digital desk while I'm gone. So no fears. I'll always be around, kind of haunting style.
Oh, of course. I can never replace you either. So,
but Summer will just be taking over as a host, which I think is great because that offers new experiences, new perspectives that I can't offer because I'm not Summer Roddershot. I wish I was, but we'll let Summer take over and have some fun at the digital desk while I'm gone. So you're still getting Inside the Newsroom, but with a little twist.
And I love hosting Inside the Newsroom just because it is sort of like a breakup from what I do every day. Obviously, I'm still going to be on the morning show, so I'm still going to be waking up at 2:30 a.m. something pretty early. But then I just get to do this instead of reporting for, and it's only a day because you're not gone for long this time. So you'll be back before we know it. But yeah, I'm just excited to fill in for you, and I'm excited for you to have a day off.
Oh, thank you. But we're still going to have Boredom Busters at Friday. That's at 5:30 at night on KELOLAND Plus, and then 8 o'clock in the morning on Saturday on KELOLAND Plus. So you won't have to miss that. So that's the good news, right? There's always good news. This continues with good news. Summer Rider Shot coming in. Boredom Busters is still happening. KELOLAND Plus. We love KELOLAND Plus.
We love KELOLAND Plus.
But that's all the time that we have for Inside the Newsroom today. I mean, we've covered all of our trending stories we needed to get to. We brought in the Newsroom staff members. Summer Rider Shot's kicking me off the digital desk for now.
So we'll see you later, Maddie.
Thank you, Summer.
My show now.
And until next time, have a great day, everyone. Thanks for watching.